Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Adventures Pack, and welcome back to Melos Machina. We are back at it again after a tense week away. Yeah, it's all right. It develops character, right? That's what they always told us.
Yeah, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Some Stockholm syndrome going on, I think. Here.
I've been stewing on a few things, Scott.
Just a little bit of emotion here in the studio today.
Really quick, before we get started, you may notice that we are without Z tonight. We are hoping that her travels are going well. She is off in another country having fantastic adventures. We miss you, Z. We'll see you soon. With that, we don't really have a whole lot. Thank you all for hanging around with us for our delayed start time today. So I think with that, we're just going to dive right in to tonight's episode of Melos Machina. So, when last we met our adventurers, they had ventured off to have a lovely dinner party, starting off the evening with Overseer Castavan. After being welcomed to his large estate, you shared a rather fancy dinner, some lovely drinks, and some possibly tense conversation, trying to gauge who this person was and what their standing in the town was. After dinner, you were invited to sample what it was that you had rescued for him. After indulging in a small amount of the Chimordian ale, you left and headed back towards the town of Riversmeet. Upon returning to the night's rest, you found a letter waiting. It said, "Please meet me at Warehouse 4, urgent," from Dr. Sada. As the group made their way to Warehouse 4, they were met at the door with a noticeably uncomfortable Dr. Sada, who beckoned them in to speak with them. After bringing them into the warehouse and apologizing for what she was about to do, Dr. Sada released a small pack of the strange creatures to try and kill the group. Surviving and putting on a bit of a fight to the doctor herself, Finn running up to the balcony, chasing her off. The last thing seeing was her leaping into the streets, becoming invisible. With members of the party going down, the final beast was slain. And that is where we had left off. Adventurers. With now the unmoving remains of the strange creatures, and Dr. Sada having left and vanished into the streets. What would you like to do?
Is everyone okay?
Fine. Finn, what did you see? Which way did she go?
She may be already gone. She hopped into the streets. It seemed like she was heading back towards town, but she's invisible. I don't know if we can catch her, and if we want to, we need to act quickly.
Damn.
Are you all right? Dust yourselves off. You're alive at least. Is that?
Fine here, yeah.
I am going to, using one of my last spell slots, I am going to, let me double check that this will work exactly the way that I want it to. Where's the damn spell? Okay, amazing. Okay, I am going to flip my hands into the air, and in between Aaron and Aiken, the small silver gray bird is going to bounce between the two of them for the next few seconds for healing spirit.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm just going to have it bounce between the two of them. I can heal using the spirit. I can only use it a few times in a row. Let me double check the exact nature of it. Apparently, my card only has part of this.
Okay.
It's going to be number of times that 1 plus my spellcasting ability modifier. So that's going to be 6 times. So I'm going to heal the both of them 3 times over the next 30 seconds.
Okay. So let's go ahead and roll a heal for one heal for each of them at this time.
Absolutely.
As this spiritual bird springs forth and begins fluttering between Aaron and Icon.
4 to Aaron and 3 to Icon immediately.
Great. Thank you, Duathi. What are the chances? Well, first, we've killed all 3, right?
Looks like to be.
Seems to be.
And what are the chances that any of her research is still here?
Here? Unlikely.
She did go in that room for something. Who knows what? We could check it out, or I cast detect magic on her way out the door, and I did see a little trace, even though she was invisible. So if we are quick, we might be able to make it back to her place in 10 minutes. But it's either or.
My instincts are to head her off at her research facility. If anything is left behind there, I'd rather confront her there
Let's go.
than anywhere.
But we should come back here.
Yes.
Quickly. If she's there, she's not. If she's there, she's there. If she's not, we have to come back right here. And I'm going to continue towards the door and gesturing my hand behind. I'm going to once again
All right.
send the bird.
Go ahead. Which door are you heading towards?
The outside door.
Or which outside door? So
The one that we came in?
The one we came in.
Okay.
Not the balcony.
If I recall, there was a large wooden bar that was placed in front of that door. We're going to have to remove that before we leave, GM?
It was still there, and as you look back towards that door, you do see the massive bar across the door.
Can you leverage this up?
As you begin walking towards that, towards the main door, it's still a short ways from where you are now with the creatures, you hear a
Fucking back up.
seems to be coming from behind you.
What?
I'll turn around and... Is there anything flashing or fizzling that we can sense?
Give me a perception check.
I'd like to look as well with detect magic up.
It's a natural one, so 4.
I'm not seeing anything, and as you look around, you don't see any magic emanating.
Seems to be mechanical, whatever it is.
I'll get the door open.
1 healing point to you and 5 to you.
Thank you. So yeah, I'll immediately start really trying to lift that bar off.
All right, go ahead and give me a strength check.
Oh my god. 4 on the dice for 6.
6. As you lift, there is a massive amount of resistance that you are met with.
Hey!
Come on, come on, one more.
I'll take my spear and jam it underneath to like leverage up.
All right, as
Like
you
a
pull out your
little
spear,
lever.
you hear a second. Now the sound of almost a sizzling is continuing throughout the space.
I'd like to go investigate the corpses of the dogs as I send the spirit one last
All
time.
right, go ahead and give that last heal.
I'd like to look for the source of this as well.
All right, give me a perception with all of you by the door of the warehouse.
3.
Thank you.
And may I make a perception on the investigation? I don't want to know what you want me to
Are
do.
you, so what, you're wanting to go check the dogs, are you?
See if they're the source of the sound.
All right, as you head towards the nearest one, the one that you had all surrounded at the end, go ahead and give me a really quick perception or investigation, your choice.
Perception
My perception was a 10.
Okay.
at 13.
13. From where you are, you see now a small amount of steam or smoke, just a white mist coming from the area where the warehouse curved around that led towards the stairs leading up to the balcony. Duathi, as you approach the dog, you can see the one behind it. So now, of the three, the second one is now sizzling. As you approach the one in front of you, you can see its neck beginning to shake. The collar that it was wearing with the green vials now vibrating with an intensity as it shatters, and this green liquid begins to spread all over the creature. I need a really quick dexterity saving throw from you.
Sure. Oh, they're rigged to blow.
Could I help Icon with this second effort to open the door, GM?
After this happens, yes.
It's an 18.
An 18. That is a success, so you only take half of the damage as a little bit of the acid sprays towards you. You take 4 points of acid damage.
Stay clear of the corpses.
All right.
We gotta get out of here.
Yeah. Just trying to destroy the evidence.
As they are trying to move the bar off of the door, could I try and go towards one of the dogs that is not currently exploding? I'd like to remove the collar.
As you look around, the nearest dog to you, the one that you had all surrounded, was the one that has just erupted. And you
Okay.
can see that it is beginning to eat away at the entirety of the body.
I'd like to go to a different one.
Looking at the next nearest one, it is also now melting away, and you recall back there were 3 creatures, and there have now been 3 eruptions. Go ahead and give me that strength check, and if you want to help out, either at advantage or...
I'll aid you as I try and put my shoulder underneath the bar to give Icon an assist.
That'll be an 18.
An 18. Yeah. As you, Aaron, come up underneath the bar with your shoulder, you're able to lift it, and it clatters down onto the floor. The door is still shut, but now the room is beginning to fill with this stench of burning metal and rotting flesh.
We have to get out of here. She had a failsafe.
The one that's beginning to dissolve, is it still covered in acid?
The acid is continuing to just move across it, eating away at the entire thing. You're watching as, with a very quick speed, this liquid is dissolving the whole thing. At this point, as you've been watching it, it's down to just half the torso is left.
And the collar is also dissolved at this point?
Yes, the collar from the eruption just ate the whole thing away.
All right. I'll turn back towards everyone.
So, when you say the door shut, is it locked or just closed?
It's just closed.
Okay, then I will open through the door.
As you open it up, the cold night air immediately rushes in and wafts away the smell of the rot.
She can be anywhere at this point.
Well, let's hope she had to go grab a go bag or something and is back home. That's the only place I can think of to go.
I'll start running, and I have a walking speed of 35. So I'll just try and beeline it to where she lives.
All right, running, walking.
Running.
I think all of us are
Yeah,
probably giving chase, unless you want to stay behind. And
No, at that point, actually, what I would like to do is my jaw will once again dislocate and my shoulders will pop back out of place as I become a horse.
All right.
And that will give me, I think, a speed of 40. Let me double check. It's not the heavy grade draft horse that I was before, but this time a longer, faster riding horse.
as best as I can, I'll just trail behind Icon. But yeah, full sprint is what I think.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
All right. So as you're all rushing now from the warehouse, it's a very quick pace before you get to the bridge, past the Lost Cask. You cross on over where you are able to, from here, look down to the left and see the Night's Rest. The evening is still fairly young at this point. The twin moons are giving a soft glow to the town. As you take a right, you see a glow begin to emanate from the town as well. Soft orange.
My speed is 60 feet, by the way. DM.
Are you leaving your party behind? Or?
Yep.
Okay. As you
Head her up.
rush ahead, and you take turn after turn. It's not hard to get back to Dr. Sada's. You know this path well. When you come across your last turn, you see the front of Dr. Sada's house, the door open, and smoke begins to billow out of it. The flames have not yet reached, but you can see the top of the roof has started to alight in flame.
How far are we from physical water from Dr. Sada's house?
Physical water from Dr. Sada's house is roughly, it's more than a few feet, than 60 to 100 feet. At this point, you are taking turn and turn. You are, I'd say, about 400 to 450 feet from the Condor Flow, and about 300 feet from the, not the Midstream, the third one.
The other one.
Yeah,
the other one.
The west heading river.
And it's billowing. Smoke is starting to overcome the structure.
You are not able to see any of this at this point,
okay,
as
they're fast.
Duathi
Gotcha,
has gotten
yep,
there
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
much twice as fast as you all.
So the building is already knowing what I would know generally speaking about what happens when something lights on fire. If I am seeing it and it is already hitting the roof, would it be safe to assume the building is lost at this point?
It's hard to say. Worse, buildings have been buildings have been lost in less, and buildings have been saved in worse.
All right. I will start looking around for any source of a bucket or water or anything that's nearby.
At this point, you're looking at a fairly empty street. No real sources of immediate water around. At this point, you can see the flames beginning to lick at the inside of the windows. You can see the fire is indeed beginning to rage. At this point, there's a crackling of wood from the inside bursting.
Alright.
And in your form, you see at the end of the street a couple of figures who begin to turn and run. Fire! Fire!
At this point, I will. My bones will crack and shrink, and I will become myself again. It's a small bit, but unfortunately, I think it is all I can do. Using druidcraft, I can snuff out a little bit of fire. It will probably move faster, but at the very least, it will hopefully maybe buy us some moments.
Seeing the
until we use them.
flames, extending your arm out and trying to tame the wildness that is this flame, you can feel it fighting you, and there's nothing that you can do with druidcraft. At this point, the rest of the party, now you come up as you see Duathi standing there, arm out, body tense, as if trying to hold back something pulling against her.
How much? So the door's open, smoke billowing out, flames licking up at the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any active flames coming from the front door?
At this point, the windows, there are active flames coming out.
Okay.
The roof is fairly caught on fire. There is just a plume of smoke billowing out of the chimney.
Shit.
Now you begin to hear the clattering of a bell in the distance. Ding, 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 ding.
Without a second thought for my own safety, I'd rush into the building through the door, stopping short of any live flame, but I'm going in.
Okay, Finn, as you run headlong into the building, immediately you are hit with the wave of heat. You can see the small room that was the front entryway, the bedroom, the living space, not the warehouse or the workshop, but the door to the back appears to be shut. The walls of the entire space in here are alight. Give me a really quick perception.
Cool.
Yes, and did it take less than 10 minutes to sprint here?
Yes.
That's an @1. Magic, detect magic is still up, but that's only a 6 on the investigation.
With detect magic up, you look around and you can see there doesn't appear to be anything that is alive with magic now, but you can see areas of the flame that appear as though part of it was magical. And as you look around, it's as if there are pinpoints of flame started here, flame started here, flame started there, where the base of it is magic, but the rest of it has grown into nature.
I would have run right after Finn, seeing him pop in, grab him by the scruff of his jacket, pull him out. We can't save it.
I had to try.
Finn, get out of there!
Yeah, it's a...
At this point, you were pulled back onto the street, and in the brief amount of time that you were in there, Finn especially, your lungs have begun to burn slightly. You aren't brought to fits of coughing, but you can feel just the pain that came from being inside of that room.
Are there any town guard who have responded to the calls of fire appearing yet?
At this point, no.
Damn it.
Does it look like their buildings are close enough to catch fire?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The buildings here, there are small alleyways between building and building, but it could, as you look about, you could easily see how a bit of flame could jump from one building to the next.
I'm going to start knocking on doors and telling people to get out and get water.
Okay. As you knock on the building to left, right?
Left.
Left. As you knock on the building to the left, pounding on it, there's a brief moment until a middle-aged man opens the door and says, "Oh my God!"
Yes. Get out, get water, as much as you can do.
And beckons in and brings out a woman and a small child. They rush out. So, yes, on it! And rushes the way that you came towards the river.
Then I'll go to the house directly to the right.
All right, one after the other, after pounding on the doors to alert anyone. By this point, the first door, you can see actually as that man turns the corner, his wife and child quickly behind him. As they turn, you can see Captain Sada and a couple of guardsmen approach, large buckets in hand, and they rush towards the building.
Gonna need more than a bucket, it's almost up in flames. Get Marius to get some sort of pump or something.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? But this is what we have. And one after another, they dump their buckets into the building. You can hear immediately the as the water hits the heat of the wood. But you can see now the guardsmen have not come the full distance. They seem to be stopping and creating a chain of people. And as Captain Sada here at the front finishes off, she hands the bucket to the person behind her, who then hands her a now full bucket, and again throws it onto the flames.
I'll get in line.
I will as well.
All right.
Is it a full brigade down the street?
Not quite. At this point, with you can see now 4 or 5 additional guard aside from Captain Sada, but it's not a full line to then the water. They are coming and going and having to rush back to then refill. But you can see more and more members of the town now. Cries and yells are coming from the city. The whole of Riversmeet, at least the South District, has now become active. And you can see members of the town, citizens, moving into this line to try and fill those spots.
Can I run around the building? I haven't explored this too much. Can I look for any other additional entrances or exits to the building? That's not obvious from the front?
Absolutely. Rushing behind there, you can either try and get to the next street over, taking the long way around. Like I said, there's an alleyway on either side, but you would get dangerously close to the flames from there.
I'll just peek down and as quickly as I can I'll action and dash.
Okay, action and dash, rushing toward down the hallway there, or the alleyway. Okay. As you rush through, you pass the first window, and you can see just the flame in that room, fully engulfed. The living space is now just a gem of pure light. But you rush past it towards the next. Now, with this window, you can see what used to have been closed from the inside. The shutters have burned away, and you can see the workshop. And you can see it fairly clearly as suddenly the flames have receded, and you can feel air being drawn in. As you rush past, there's then a burst of flame. Can I get a dexterity saving throw from you, please?
Yep. That's fine. That is a 17.
17, that's going to be a success. You are able to leap. You're going to take 4 points of fire damage as your back is singed from this, ducking down and heading towards the back. You're trying to recall back, and you think there might have been a door in the back of Sada's workshop. As you come into the back, you can still feel the heat emanating off of the walls of the home, but the flame hasn't made it to the exterior here in the back. As you come around, you can see in this small back alley another door, flames licking the insides of it, but it is open.
It's open.
In the back.
Can I see from this vantage point the freezer that she went in and out of frequently?
Coming around and taking a peek in, you can see the workshop itself. The inside of this door almost looks as though it was a false wall, and this wasn't a regular door. Peering in, the table upon which Dr. Sada worked still remains. The bases of it beginning to glow softly with the heat. It appears empty. You can see ash that is licking up the sides of the walls from papers that have just been obliterated. You see the freezer that Dr. Sada had entered into, door wide open, and an inferno.
Son of a bitch. Okay. I will simply point across the house, through the house, and I will cast message to Aiken. Looks like she lit up the back and is not back here. Can I look around?
Of course she did.
Can I look around for any type of footprint, any type of soot-covered marking, seeing that if it would have, knowing she was invisible, you can't leave an explosion like this without potentially disturbing something around it. Can I look around for any type of trail?
Absolutely. So the back alley here is, unlike the rest of the town, not necessarily well paved. It is a lot softer mud and dirt. If you are looking for any sorts of tracks, go ahead and give me a survival check. While Aaron has rushed around to the back of this building, do any of you want to do anything?
Standing next to Captain Fieri, just gonna say, I think we might have much to discuss after this is out.
And afterwards is the perfect time. Must say, my life has certainly been interesting since you all came here.
Likewise.
15.
15. Looking at the ground, you can see right at the base of where this false wall that leads into the warehouse or the workshop was opened, very clear footsteps that appear to have also something dragged behind them. They go into the alley, they turn deeper into the town, or depending on how far they go, beyond.
I will once again cast a message to Finn this time. I think I have a trail. Join me?
I've been shell-shocked, fighting tears back, partially from the smoke, partially from frustration and hopelessness, as I watch the futile attempts to put out the flames, until I hear Aaron's voice and my wits snap together and I start moving the way he ran.
Okay. Rushing through the alleyway. By the time you get to the first window, you can see that the flames that had engulfed the living space are being fought back now by the water. You can see where the window that the brigade seems to be focusing on the left side now has a clear fight to the fire. They look like part of it might be on a winning streak. As you go back beyond, you can see the workshop. What is your passive investigation?
Better than my passive perception, that's for sure. 16.
16. As you rush past, you can see very clearly with the remainder of your detect magic. Whereas in the living space, there were 1, 2, 3. In here, the wall is dotted with ignition points of magic. Most of it seems to be focused around the desk. Most of the desk has burned away, but its shell still remains.
And any trace of other kind of magic, I assume it's evocation, this fire, but...
Absolutely.
I would know if there's another school of magic or anything else nearby.
Not
or
really
in
seeing
the
anything
desk.
else. At this point, you come around the corner. You see this in passing as you rush by, and you're back with Aaron.
That way.
All right. You see tracks?
I think so. I think she was dragging something. I think that might be able to give us away, but I don't just want to abandon the aid. Do you think we should split off, or do you think we should stay here and at least dig a little deeper once the fire's dug down?
Something tells me either way is futile, but we have to try to follow, I think.
This is RJ, like, literally, like,
It's okay.
decision. Aaron's going to click back quickly between the alleyway and the foot tracks. She might be long gone, but I want to know at least where she went, if she stopped anyway. So stay here and help. I think I can track her alone.
You sure?
I think so. Trust me, I'm not gonna confront her alone.
About how long is the detect magic almost out?
You
would I
can
know?
tell you're on the final moments of it. You've probably got under a minute left.
Aaron, you can't go alone. If we are going to leave our friends behind, we should stick together.
Fine, but we have to move as fast as possible. Run, sprint,
Let's
like
go.
you've ever done.
Lead the way.
Aiken, we have a trail. We're gonna follow it. Stay here and aid as much as you can.
All right, I guess. Be safe. Don't die.
What is going on?
They're gonna go after a trail that they seem to have found, but we should stay here and put out the fire.
All right. I'll
I will-
continue getting buckets.
All right, and as you continue getting buckets, Duathi and Aiken being a part of this chain, looking back, you can see Andy doing the same. And in the chaos, you actually see a small horse cart being drawn with, or being pulled down the alley with the back filled with buckets of water. Trailing behind, Andy is approaching with them, with little Chauncey stepping along with a small harness that has been quickly. It looks like a bridle for a horse, and buckets hanging from either side, coming in to aid in the fight.
As we are putting out the fire, I would like to, every step further we get towards the inside of the house, I would like to be looking for anything.
Okay.
Anything.
Okay. As the fire is fought, as the fire spreads, let's have a few checks. Your choice of athletics for how much you are able to help in the bringing of this water, or if you think there's any other way that you can assist in the putting out of this fire. The brigade is going to be helping you with this, but you are essentially going to be fighting the spread.
I'd like to, as Andy comes up with more water, help instruct others to create 2 lines to fight kind of in tandem.
Okay.
Just because I feel like 1 bucket at a time is just not enough. But I'll do athletics.
Okay. And yeah, as you give that instruction to move the line
Like
and
barking orders.
having it come from either direction, Captain Fury looks at you and says, "Seem to have done this before. Good thinking." Go ahead and that is going to give the crew advantage on their check as well.
Great.
Duathi, anything from you?
What I would like to be doing, since I'm not terribly strong, what I would prefer to be doing is helping people move buckets, but particularly bringing them to areas. What I would like to do is to make this a survival check as a person who's dealt a lot with keeping things from spreading and things, trying to find areas where I think it's most vital to keep the fire from spreading.
Gotcha. So now that a lot of buckets have come, we've got the 2 lines that are fighting the fire, choosing to essentially make a third, but this one being a pinpointed attack. Okay, go ahead and give me that check, and this will affect the DC that y'all are going against.
That is an 18 for
18.
me.
Okay. I was going to bring the DC of the spreading of the fire down by a little bit. What did you get?
So for my athletics check, it's a 12.
12.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still feeling sore from fighting creatures.
With the advantage, though, the fire brigade is working overtime and doing very well. Beat the first check as you do begin. Though the fire is spreading massively, the front half of the home is being pushed back enough that members of the brigade are actually able to step into the front door and now attack it from the inside. As you fight it from the inside, going off to track.
As soon as Finn gave me a nod, I turned to my heels and, like a hound on the scent, as deftly as I can, following where she went.
All right, following the tracks. Now, you were able to find it, but now to continue to find them as they go, this will be essentially a tracking check. It will be a survival check. Finn, is there anything that you think you could do to help with this?
If Aaron pointed out the trail, as we start following, I'll just look for those signs that are leading him and try to keep my eyes out.
Can I hold light in my palm above my head?
Sure. Casting light in your hand illuminates the space.
Much better, thank
that
you.
will decrease the challenge of this. But I will say this will be separate rolls from both of you on this.
Sure. Perception or survival?
This is a survival.
Survival.
21 with a nat 20 on the die.
Oh, very good. Hey, 15 on the die for 17.
Very nice. Both of you able to see these tracks incredibly well. The dragging is definitely helping as you begin to rush down this alley. You can see it's almost as if what's being pulled was the end of a wheelbarrow without a wheel on it, or a sled of some kind that is just dug into the mud. You were easily able to track this. And then the ground becomes firmer, and the drag marks become less prominent. But you are both still able to see it as the tracks seem to have taken a right and go to the next street over. Fighting the fires, members of this brigade have now been able to enter into the home itself. A single line of buckets is now able to go into the home. whereas fighting is still happening from the outside. Is there anything else that you would like to try and do to affect this roll?
I will be sort of near the front, near the interior of the house, and I'll cast Bless on the folks inside. So if there's any, like, if there's smoke inhalation or dex saves or anything that they need to make, they'll have advantage. So the first, at this level, three of the people, not including myself. I'm putting it into the frontline workers, and I'll continue being moral support as I move buckets.
Duathi, anything from you that you'd like to do in this new case?
Sure. What I would like to do is actually go towards the cart that has the horses, and I would like to cast Speak with Animals, and just say, hey, I know that this is all very loud and very scary and very hot, and that normally this is not the thing you would want to go towards, and you're doing such a very good job of staying calm and doing what you've been trained to do, and we really appreciate you. But if you can get any closer, I promise we won't let you come to any harm, and if you need to run, you can, but we're not going to let that happen. But if you can get any closer and just try and get the horses to a closer, safe distance so it's easier to move the water.
Absolutely. As you speak to this horse, you can tell that it was... You know what? Give me an animal handling check at advantage now that you are speaking to it in a language it understands.
Ooh. That is going to only be an 11.
11. As you speak to it to try and calm it, you can tell it is still incredibly tense, and it begins to paw at the ground. It does take a few steps forward, but it at some point refuses to get any closer to the home.
I understand.
But you are able to make it the process speed up slightly. First, and good call on this, Constitution check from those who are inside, and with your bless, they are able to keep their breath. At this point, rather than a single line, they are cycling through. Go ahead and give me an athletics check, and from those on the inside.
That's an 8 this time.
Okay. Luckily, with a 25 with your bless. They rolled very well.
That lasts a minute, by the way.
The flames begin to lick on the door, so as they have entered, the flame starts to wrap around and threaten for a moment to block in those who have stepped into the building. But from the outside, the two on either side are able to fight the flames back and keep them protected. With the brigade on the inside, the living space seems to be under control. At that point, the door into the workshop bursts open in flame itself. You can see one of the fighters on the inside diving out of the way is able to avoid the flame. One of them, it hits him in the face as he yells. He's still standing and alive, but he runs out of the building and blindly running around until he finds a bucket, douses his face into it.
I'll take his place, pull up the hood around my mouth so I don't inhale too much. And while I'm in here, continuing to put out flames, I'd like to keep an eye out for any papers, any sort of documentation that might have been missed as we continue to put out fire.
Attempting to rush into the workshop space?
Up to the point where the flames are too hot,
Okay.
basically. I don't want to put myself in danger or anybody else.
All right. Chasing down this trail.
Yep.
Now that you have come to a far more well-trod path, the tracks are much harder to track. You think you can still see them, and at least from where they hit the main road, you're trying to figure out, did it take a left farther out of the town, or did it take a right towards the river?
Is there anybody else around here? Any other villages or citizens that might be onlooking or just who would have been here in the past half an hour?
Looking on the street, it seems fairly empty at this point. Your guess is that either everyone is focused on helping put this fire out, or doing their best to stay away from it in the hopes of safety.
Finn, which way?
I don't know. She couldn't have gotten far, but why would she drag whatever this is back to town? My gut says she's trying to get away. I will use my last first level spell slot to cast Detect Magic again as an action and just see if I can pick up anything.
Casting Detect Magic, you see no hints of magic aside from that on both you and your companion here. No outline of any invisible person. There's nothing.
And we're going basically here at the edge of town, we're like into the wilderness, or
At this point, you are at where the alleyway ends. You have come to a main road.
Gotcha.
And looking about, your choice will be to go left towards the edge of town or right towards the river. Can I get a survival check from both of you to track and see which way this is?
Right. Oh, that is very good.
17.
19.
Okay. And both of you now, even with the harder work of trying to find it in sturdier ground, you were very grateful for whatever it was that Sada was dragging, and you can see faint scratch marks, no footsteps anymore, that take to the left and away from town.
My gut was correct. I think
Onward, pursue. No stopping until we find her.
hopefully she's weakened. I don't know.
Hopefully no more dogs. Let's go.
Thinking back to a few days prior when we had dragged a dog's corpse out of a cave and all the way back to town on the back of Chauncey, trying to visualize that process, and did we leave a similar trail behind? Do I get the same sense of size or impression?
It's hard to say, because you had a couple of them on your pack. Whatever is being dragged certainly looks like it is weighing a good amount, but it's hard to make a direct correlation to anything that you had done recently, at least just from the drag marks.
Keep that suspicion to myself then, as we head out towards the edge of town.
Yep.
And as you do, you keep going, following these drag marks, until you do come to the edge, the final home, as they get thinner and thinner, leading to the open field. A field that you're familiar with, very similar to the one that you first appeared in when you were sent to this town. As you look out and about, you see the large tree off in the distance that you had been waiting by. That's a ways north at this point, from this vantage point. But looking out over this field, it's fairly simple to spot anything. The grass, though, in some areas is taller. A person would stand out far in the distance. You see a humanoid figure standing beyond earshot.
Dude.
Dude. At this point, it is a shadowy silhouette. But you see a person in the far distance in this field. As the fire is being fought. The door that has immediately burst in flame, damaging one of the firefighters, covering up your mouth, rushing in. You can see the inferno that is the workshop. It was nothing compared to that of the living space. You have a moment of pause remembering the time that you had spent in here. You look over to where Sada's desk and all of the diagrams and sketches of the things that Sada had been studying. And you can see nothing except bits of ash fluttering in the air in that corner. And the section with all of the shelves with vials and chemicals, you can actually see many of them shattered and spilt. You say specifically looking for something where you might find...
Just anything that might have been left behind. Yeah.
You do see Sada's desk. That is licked in flames on either side. The wooden top of this desk has a hair of flames spouting from it. But beneath it, though incredibly warm, most of the desk seems to be intact. But very quickly not being so.
I'm gonna start patting that out with my cloak.
And as you step in, even with your face covered, you can feel the heat and the smoke get to you. Would you give me a Constitution saving throw?
That's my third, fourth. That's a 6.
6. You step in, rushing towards the desk, and as you do, a wave of heat and smoke actually hits you in the face. As you begin coughing and your eyes close, you're blinded by the now vapor of heat that has hit your eyes. You take no damage, but you are currently blinded, and you are momentarily, let's see here, momentarily stunned as you are just coughing. On the outside, as the fires are fighting, Dwathi, is there anything that you would like to do to try and help fight this?
At this moment, I also know, I see that it's starting to the point where we need to start going inside. I also want to start going in and looking for things.
Okay.
So I'll take the smallest bucket that I can probably fit in my hands. And that's what I've got.
Okay. Going in, you can see now members of the fire brigade coming in behind Icon. And as you see it now, Icon rushing forward towards the desk, doubling over, coughing, and the arms out. You have your bucket of water, and the brigade have theirs. They begin dousing as much of the flames as possible. Where would you like to direct your water?
Actually, what I'd like to do is hold on to my bucket, and seeing Icon doing this druid crafts allows me to create a small puff of air. What I'd like to do is move some of the smoke away from Icon's face just for a moment.
And in that moment of the coughing, you are able to get a small bubble of fresh air.
Nice.
You're able to stumble towards the desk. The flames now burning up to the edges of it. There are 3 containers, or drawers on this desk, essentially. You have a cabinet-looking thing on the right side. You have a pull-out drawer in the center, and what the flames are most nearest towards is a pull-up drawer on the top. You don't know how many of them you'll be able to rummage through.
Great.
What would you like to look at first?
I'm going to start with the one on the top.
All right.
Closest to the flames.
As you reach towards the one on the top, the heat, immediately you recoil back, but you are able to push it open. Inside you can see writing utensils, pens, parchment rolled up, and almost immediately as you lift it up, you can see the parchment, and it begins to lift up into the air, caught by the heat in the room. Yeah. And as it begins to flutter away, you want to grab it?
I'm just going to start grabbing anything and shoving it in my
reaching
cloak.
out for the parchment, go ahead and give me a dexterity saving throw.
All of you are betraying me just like Dr. Sada. Saving throw? 17.
17.
That one.
You were able to grab the roll, put it in, grabbing pens, parchment. You think you can probably get one more before this desk is now engulfed in flame. Do you want to go for the pull-out drawer, or do you want to go for the cabinet?
Well, let me ask you one quick thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have... Do I have time for an action real quick to try and aid myself?
You aren't sure. Time is very pressing right now.
So you said pull-out drawer or cabinet?
Mm-hmm.
Pull-out drawer.
Okay.
And again, trying to immediately pull anything out. If there's any metal, I'd like to use my cloak to, like, grab it, but...
There is metal, and yeah, using your cloak to grab it, you hold on to it, and you do feel a little bit of burning. You are going to take 1 point of fire damage.
Okay.
And as you pull it out, you can see that the flames were beginning to lick the inside of this cabinet.
My
And
con check for Bless is still up.
Okay.
It's a nat 20.
You had to beat a 0.5 on the pulling out the cabinet, you can see that the pull-out drawer, you can see that the underside of it was beginning to be engulfed in flame. You see a notebook that appears to have been left behind that is now being licked with fire. It is on fire.
I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Grabbing it. Okay, you're going to take another 2 points of fire damage.
Oh, great.
But you are able to put it out. And at this point, you can hear the timber of the roof begin to creak
Okay.
and splinter
So, glad I waited.
as we come back to the chase.
Put out the damn light.
I can see her.
I know. I don't think we can follow right now. I don't think it's wise, but with any luck, she didn't see us and assumes she's lost us.
I think this is where we turn our skills over to somebody more knowledgeable to the open spaces. And I will take out my dagger. I'm just going to carve a very obvious arrow pointing in the direction of which I see that silhouette on the horizon.
All right. As you look at the silhouette, it appears stationary.
I mean, she's weakened now.
We have no idea her capabilities, Finn. We could be walking into something that could lead to our death.
That's true. We're pretty tapped ourselves, and, well... It was nigh but a week ago. I was standing here in this field. Very similar situation, you and I. Andy feels missing, and so too our new friends. So confident and cocky and naive. 1 week later, I've been knocked on my ass several times, as have you. My intuition has failed time and again. I didn't trust you at the time, and, well, I trusted Sada right away, and look how we ended up. One thing I do know is there is no one I trust now. I don't think we leave this for somebody else, but I also think we don't do this alone. We go get our friends, maybe rest, and as soon as we can, we follow. She'll move slow. Dragging that thing is gonna leave a trail through the field. We have a chance, but you're right, we can't rush into this.
From this distance, as you look out, Aaron, your eyes are fixed on this silhouette. A second shadow steps from the side. There appear to be two figures in this field.
About how far could I guesstimate? Like, a mile off?
Under a mile, but
It's dark, yeah.
you're probably looking at around 1,000 feet.
You have no way of secluding us from sight?
No, nothing. I can move quickly once, that's it. used everything I had. I thought we could get a... Certainly can't take 2.
I just want to stand and watch for a while.
Okay.
I feel pretty unseen out here, over that far away, but I do just want to kind of watch and see, like, does it look like they're talking? Does it look like they're both, like, just staring and watching the fire in the distance go out? Like,
It's hard to see which
Right.
direction that they're looking, much less getting any sort of a visual as to.
I just want to stay and watch until they leave.
Okay.
I'm just gonna take a knee or whatever vantage point I can to just be like, just to stake out. Like, I just want to stake out this and not take my eyes off those silhouettes.
Can I get stealth checks from both of you?
Sure.
Thank God.
It's a 7,
That's a 21.
but that's a natural 1 on my roll, so
Mm.
can't.
Damn.
Yeah.
As you hear the wood creak and splinter, there is suddenly a massive shuddering of the building, as if the entire thing was alive and in its death throes. You hear a yell from outside. Captain Fury, "Get out!"
I will echo that. Get out! And I would like to use Channel Divinity,
Mm-hmm.
this kind of flavor, for Nature's Wrath. And it causes spectral vines to spring up and usually restrain a creature. But I would like it to create like a temporary brace to get people out.
Almost as if on instinct, you begin to channel the energy, and vines grow from beneath the building through the floorboards, and you can see the edges of the leaves begin to wilt in the flame, but the magic that has brought these about fights that to keep them alive. You hear the breaking of the roof as a massive beam comes towards you. But before either of you even think to have to dive, the vines reach up and grab it and hold it.
I will then turn around, grab Duathi, and run.
As you run out of the building, you leave the warehouse. You hear the popping of water bursting from within the vines. And as you turn back, moments after leaving the building itself, the heat of the living space receding, the cool of the air of the outside contrasted with the heat behind you, you turn and you see the roof of the workshop completely collapse in on itself. But now the fire brigade, having space to envelop the entire space, is able to keep getting buckets of water around the whole building.
Where's the person that had to run out after getting blasted?
Looking back, you can see seated and leaned against one of the opposite buildings, covering his face, but placing water in the bucket and continuing to just dab his face as he re-wets his hand. It seems as though it was a flash burn, and clearly his face is burned. But no blisters, no disfigurement. Seems it was a very quick bit of fire that hit him. But he is very clearly in pain.
I'll go up to him. You did great. And I'll use 5 points of lay on hands just to kind of ease his suffering.
As you do, the red on the face, and you can see his jaw is quivering, as if his whole body is shaking, not from cold, but from just the pain and the shock of what had happened. The red recedes, and his quivering stops. And there are just small blotches around his cheeks and his nose of the red, but you seem to have taken care of the majority of what hit him.
You okay?
I'm fine. Looking over, are you still bleeding? Still hurt?
I mean, I wasn't fully healed from the fight, so you might see actually some of the wounds from where the creature is slashed at me have opened up again.
Okay.
It's fine. I can take care of it.
You don't need to, and I'll reach out and touch Icon's arm, and I will cast Cure Wounds at the first level. It is only going to be 8 points. 8
Oh,
points.
that's
8
great.
points of healing. And then honestly, I will go sit down far enough away where I'm sort of out of the way. And just sort of sit down crisscross applesauce with my stick in my lap and my shield on my side and just watch.
And as the two of you healing one another, healing the firefighters, watch as now more members of the brigade go to the buildings to the side and put out small sparks of flame that had traveled, but very clearly under control. As the remains of Dr. Sada's home and workshop now, the front home section still standing, but just crackle away in embers. Aaron and Finn, as you stand at the edge of the town watching these two figures, you see who you assume at this point to not be the doctor, as Dr. Sada's figure carrying something, presumably what was being dragged. The other figure reaching out an arm and placing it on their shoulder, about shoulder height. You then see their hand present, and a flicker of light emanates between the two of them. And at this distance, it's very hard to make out any sort of details. But you are able to barely see the face of Dr. Sada. And the obscured face of a figure, a humanoid in a gray robe. And you aren't sure if it is the color of the filigree due to the light that's being created, the light itself glowing a blue.
Okay.
But it appears to be soft gold around the edge of the hood. And there's a very soft, as a gentle gust of air blows across the grass from where they're standing. And the two figures have vanished.
Yep.
Yeah. Aaron, I think this goes far higher than either of us are capable of understanding. Tell me, when when Andy and I first arrived, is that what it looked like?
Somewhat. I think whoever Dr. Sada met out there is capable of things that your professors were very familiar with, so let's go back. Actually, no. They're gone. I want to walk right up to where they stood.
Sure. What's the harm now? Trail's likely gone cold. Let's at least verify. Besides, I don't have anything else to do, and I am going to be restless.
I just want to start now steadily walking in the direction of where I just walked until I arrive right at the spot where they stood.
It doesn't take you terribly long, but it is a jaunt. You are easily able to follow the drag marks of whatever was being pulled. And you get to the area where you can see that the grass there has been gently, semi-permanently pushed away. You can see the remnants of boot prints. Very clearly, two figures were standing.
Is there Is there a... How do I say this? Is there a nearby secondary?
Give me an investigation check.
A secondary.
Because we didn't
For
see
my
them
checks,
like
yeah.
walking out of a trees or like step from behind a bush or something like that. We just saw them there. So where did they come from? Investigation you asked for?
Mm-hmm.
Where did they go?
That's the question.
A 10.
10. Looking around, you don't see a secondary point of the gust. Now you do recall when Finn and Andy first arrived, there was a small amount of energy in the appearance, but this was much more. The leaving seems to have had a far larger impact than arrival. At least that's what you recall. But you do correctly see this as similar mode of transportation.
Yes. Talented individual indeed.
Well, this thread ends here, I think.
I think I am satisfied with this conclusion for tonight.
Let's hope we can salvage any information from town.
Yes. A new puzzle needs to be assembled, Finn.
It just doesn't make sense. There's a piece missing. Although this does clear up one thing. Sada seemed clearly under duress, under pressure.
Under instruction.
That's right. And, well, based on her exit plan, something tells me she had friends in high places, or enemies
Absolutely.
in high places. Let's go back.
Agreed. Agreed.
As you head back to the town, you can see the soft glow of the fire receding, but still bright enough to quickly find your way back to the remains. As you, the two of you, resting against the wall, see your companions coming back through the streets.
I'm just staring into the center of the house.
No further injuries, I hope.
Nothing that Duathi couldn't fix.
Quite good at that, Duathi.
You both made it back.
We have
Yeah.
additional information, but let's see to the conclusion of this structure before divulging anything.
Yeah.
We need somewhere private to talk. Please, until we've had a chance to discuss amongst ourselves, please don't divulge anything, even to Captain Fury.
No, I'd like to have my head on a bit straighter. Anyway, keep track of these folks. I'm gonna continue.
And almost as if saying the name beckons them, as you stand to head back towards the fire, Captain Fury comes from the main fire brigade. Well, it seems as though I'll be thanking you more than once within a week for helping.
We have a penchant for... I don't know what we're doing. This is not normal.
You seem to be in the right place at the right time.
Sure.
Or perhaps the wrong place at the right time, but it does seem as though when something happens to go wrong, you're there.
I mean, we're trouble is, I want to help.
That's fair.
Any word on Dr. Sada?
No. We'll be going through the remains and seeing what we can't find.
Sure.
I'm just hoping that maybe she wasn't home and had just happened to have left.
We were meant to have a meeting with her. So, hope she's safe.
Yeah.
Were you able to save the neighboring homes?
Oh, yes, the rest of the houses here are then minor scorches here and there, but
Good.
the rest is fine.
Any casualties?
None, thankfully.
Excellent.
This was... Fires are not uncommon, but this was by far the largest, the fastest that we had seen. But
Well,
some burns here and there, but no, nobody's missing, no casualties, aside from the doctor.
I mean, I didn't see anybody in there. So,
Let's hope that that's the case. What? So, you were here to have the meeting with her, is that?
yeah, we had just come from a lovely dinner and had a note that said it was urgent. So, here we are. More urgent than we thought, perhaps.
Give me a really quick deception.
Come on, Charisma Caster.
That's a
that's
9.
not a good reaction.
No, it went from a 16 to a 6. That was the die that was working for me, too.
Note saying it was urgent.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I... may I see it?
So, above table, I had given it back.
Mm-hmm.
So-
I don't remember who has the note.
I don't have it.
I would
Sorry, it was left for us.
remember if
No, I mean, I gave it
we
back
gave it
to
back
her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, along with her dagger and knife that she stabbed in her door the day before. Sorry, it was... Davern told us where to go, so...
Well, I'll have to have a talking with him, won't I? I thank you all again for your help. We have this covered. Are you all right?
Yes.
We'll be fine, I think.
More of a shock, really, to, upon arrival, see a building in flame.
Yeah, notice the two of you running behind.
Wanted to ensure that there's no way for the draft to blast out to the rear. So,
It's also
luckily,
where she left her second note the other day. She's very peculiar.
Captain, you should be very proud of your townspeople. Seems like the response was tremendous and prevented what could have been a far greater catastrophe. I don't mean to raise any further alarm bells. Your people deserve to rest, but I do have reason to suspect that there was some kind of malicious intent here, arson.
What gives you that impression?
I have this ability. I can sense magic, and it seems to have been, well, there was several points of ignition, very apparently intentional.
All right.
I don't mean to insinuate that the threat is still looming, but best be on your guard.
Thank you. That is important to know. Well, if this was intentional, hopefully this was the only place that was targeted. Where are you all staying still at the Night's Rest?
I think we could all use a good night's rest.
Yeah. I know that you've been in and out of the town lately. Are you in tonight?
We have no other arrangements. No.
I am pretty tapped after we had a dinner with the overseer, and, well, then this. I don't think I have much more in me tonight, so I suppose we'll be in.
Well, I'll be here for a good amount of the night, if it's all the same to you. If you had a meeting with the doctor, and if this was intentional, I'm just going to have a member of the guard posted in front of the inn. For safety, you understand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Please stay there tonight. Don't go anywhere. And if you wouldn't mind waiting in the morning until I can come have a talk with you before heading out.
Can I insight check this,
Yeah.
please?
Yeah. Is this specifically, I was going to ask the same thing for, like, is this her actually genuinely concerned, trying to protect us, or are we under suspicion?
Go ahead and give me an insight.
Yeah, I'd like kind of a similar thing, but
Mhm.
as a former guard, like former town's guard, I'd like to get a sense of, is she following protocol?
Yeah, you can give me an. If you're looking for like a following of protocol, let's actually have this be a history check.
Okay.
Insights for you is to her demeanor.
22.
14.
22 and 14.
9.
Okay. It doesn't seem out of the ordinary for a guard to be posted, especially under suspicion of arson. And Finn, you can tell that there is a sense of concern in her voice. You take this as concern for your safety, especially as how things have happened recently in Riversmeet. Aaron, you can tell that after having spoken to Aiken about the reason for meeting the doctor, her demeanor had changed. And though posting a guard might seem like a good idea regardless, the request to stay in the morning
Yeah.
strikes you as odd.
Yeah. Okay. I'll clock that.
So, for what it's worth, DM, my new passive insight is 15.
Okay,
So,
good to know.
Thank you, Captain. That will certainly bring some peace of mind and hopefully put our minds at ease for a good night's and much needed rest. We do have other business to attend to, so we'd be happy to debrief in the morning after some sleep. Early is better.
Agreed. As early as
Excellent.
possible.
Excellent.
yeah, we'll meet you first thing.
I will be there.
Are you all right?
It's just another day on the job. Well, good evening to you all. Stay safe. We'll see you in the morning.
Nice to you, Captain.
Come on, everyone. Let's get cleaned up.
I'll very silently this entire time. I continued staring forward into the house. I'll pick up my stick and my shield.
As you walk away from Dr. Sada's home, you can see Captain Fieri standing there and watching you as you go. And as you leave the now white smoking remains of the home, very clearly the very full smoke of fire that has been put out, looming into the air. That is where we are going to take a break, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be right back. We're going to take a 10-minute break so that our players can stretch their legs and take a deep breath. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you very soon. And welcome back, everyone. Hope that you enjoyed your break. We have soothing jasmine tea.
Much needed.
We have water, and we have each other.
We have each other. We don't know about you.
We have Davern.
Do it! Do it!
I don't
What happened to the last NPC we liked, huh?
Darwin's gonna show up with just a sword. And I'm sorry, I have to do this, but
He's gonna turn on us in a heartbeat when the captain goes.
Don't be friends with your DM, kid.
We love you, Scott.
well, y'all too. So, having now left the remains of Sada's home, you make your way back to the Night's Rest. After this long ordeal of putting out the fire, helping Captain Fury, and chasing down shadowy figures, one clearly identified as Dr. Sada. The night is no longer young, but it is by no means horribly late. You can see the sound, the light of the inside of the Night's Rest, and the sounds of a little bit of music playing. As you open up the door, you are able to walk in and see Davern standing behind the counter, a small mug of ale at his side. The room seems mostly empty. A couple of patrons and a female humanoid in the corner wearing a not elegant attire, but nice robe, or like a nice dress. It is plucking away at a lute, bringing some nice tunes to the evening. Welcome on in, everyone. First round is on me. Whenever there's, a problem in the town like this, I like to try and help raise the spirits.
Thanks.
I'm not sure if you heard or if you saw, but it was a rough one tonight. There's little I can do for it, so I do what I can here.
Thank you. Sorry if we smell like campfire. But, yeah, we know. Can you send some Forever Stew upstairs?
Yeah. Right, I promised I was going to do that. Forever, it's still going in the back. I'll send a round of ale up.
Thanks.
And,
Thank you, Davern.
yeah, you certainly do smell like, So how close did you get?
Inside the building?
Why does that not surprise me?
Wouldn't recommend it.
No. Bunch of interesting folks, aren't you?
Yeah, and if possible, some maybe hot towels or something. I don't know. Just something to...
Yeah, of course. The washroom at the end of the hall should it's at your disposal, and
It's nice.
Great.
water should still be warm from the day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's a button that makes all the water go down.
Ingenuity at its finest. See you soon. Upstairs, everyone.
Yeah.
So as you leave the somber-ish atmosphere of the main area of the Night's Rest, heading on upstairs to your rooms.
Close the door behind us with a peek down the hallway. See if that guard's arrived yet.
Doesn't appear to be.
Whose room are we going to?
Could be ours.
Okay.
Well,
Get in and close the door.
We survived. Barely.
You're sure you are both okay? You were able to suppress the flames rather well and
Yeah. Yeah.
incredibly brave. Thank you. Thank you for
Just
not
wordlessly
fleeing.
throw out the scroll, whatever, the scroll of parchment and the journal onto the bed.
You salvaged something.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I...
Please. Yeah. Couldn't get into the last cabinet before everything collapsed, so.
This is more than I would have bargained for, so... Great job. Excellent. That's good.
One quick thought, though, before we delve into whatever you've recovered. I don't want to forget about Warehouse 4.
Yeah.
So, Dorothy, are you able to send a bird over to at least keep an eye and make sure that nobody heads over there either? I
Not
have my
tonight.
suspicions that this runs beyond Dr. Sada. Anybody in this town could be also have aided in this effort. I'd hate for something to happen with our backs turned.
Sadly, not tonight. I don't think I quite have the energy to be able to summon the bird, but I could in a few hours after I trance, but
To be honest, I
not
don't
tonight.
think it matters tonight. And one thing is for certain. Sada was thorough. This was thought through ahead of time, and
Yeah.
clearly the evidence was meant to be destroyed. If there's anything left of those dogs, well, I don't think it's going to be identifiable and hopefully not dangerous.
No, this was planned.
Okay, so just wanted to revisit the initial intent before we returned. So,
I felt bad keeping information from Captain Fieri, but I'm
Well,
so tired.
I think that was the right call, Aiken.
I agree, unfortunately, and that's why, well, the only information I felt pressing to her is that this was an intentional threat and not an accident. We don't know anything more with certainty. And
I think that what we know is dangerous,
I agree.
because otherwise... Don't get me wrong, I am very mad at Dr. Sada. But also, she was so scared and so sad,
Yeah.
and it was because we knew something.
I'm inclined to agree. I'm quite furious myself, but I can't necessarily say it's pointed at Dr. Sada. I agree. I think she was under some sort of duress.
I'm just glad nobody else knew.
Yeah.
I have my suspicions, but I want to know more before I voice them, if you don't mind.
Yeah. But have at it.
Where did you find these documents?
Her desk.
That is promising. It seemed I wasn't lying to Captain Fury. It did seem my detect magic seemed to indicate that this was very well orchestrated. The desk being a particular target.
The flames were the hottest in that room. So I'm.
How did
I
you?
mean, if I were her, that's what I would do.
If I were her, I would take my journal with me. But well, maybe there wasn't time, or
Maybe
She
what
wasn't
we know
expecting
is
us.
dangerous. And maybe she does not want to know it anymore either. Did you find her? Aiken said you found a trail.
we did.
We
It's ran far colder than I think either of us could have hoped.
we pursued further than my initial hope out initially. To the edge of town, we were able to track some sort of hasty trail that she left, dragging something heavy out into a field about 1,000 feet out of town, where we saw an image on the horizon, and then out of nowhere she was joined by someone else. And before we could reach them, they vanished.
Great. So, one of the creatures It's probably
presumably,
out
and
there.
help from a very powerful friend. S- the gold filigree on the gray cloak. Can I place that?
You've seen a lot of cloaks in your life. Go ahead and give me a. Ooh.
Maybe like is a uniform. Or something.
Is it part of the order and/or lore keepers? Like, is it the same? Yes.
Get them today at Brody's.
You can give me a history check. With your. With your knowledge on this, the DC will be lower.
Keep mind.
Oh, crap. All my intelligence rolls tonight have been garbage. That's an 11.
An 11. 11's not horrible.
Yeah, good.
You've seen a lot of official uniforms of lore keepers, conservators, with your time in the Aethergog, and you did not immediately place it as a uniform of any sorts. Gold is a very commonly used color for a lot of people from the cities, especially those wealthy, especially those who have any sort of connection to the Order of the Melos. But with just gold filigree and, you know,
At that distance, too.
yeah,
Yeah.
gray in the moonlight and an off-colored light casting light on it,
Sure.
it's impossible to have anything else. But you are certain it's not an official uniform.
Okay.
So she's certainly not acting alone.
No.
And she's certainly out of our reach for now.
Good, to be honest.
Don't know.
That could have gone so much worse than it did.
I suppose, but our best clue is vanished into thin air. I hope this journal holds something.
Also, we are still alive.
Yes.
Yes.
But if they want us to not be so much, isn't that a problem?
That's a problem.
Yes. Take your time. Rest yourselves. Let Finn and I do the research. Yes?
Yeah, please read. I'm just going to keep my ears to the door, so we're not talking about sensitive stuff. Once Davrin comes up, I'll just like motion, but I'm gonna be constantly like listening.
I will take out the woodworking tools that Andy lent me, and I'll say thank you, Andy. And I will also, this moment, not particularly with any ceremony or anything. I'm just trying to get the bones down to an appropriate size with the
Yeah.
wood carving tools.
Of course. And he says, "Oh, you're welcome."
Is the boy okay? Chauncey, he took quite some hits.
I don't know. He seems to be doing all right with all things considered, but I think he'll be fine.
Good, good.
With that, Andy does start to get to work on Chauncey, and it's not as quiet as the woodworking tools with the occasional. Not a full pounding of a hammer, but or chiseling, but definitely trying to get some scuff and scrape marks off with some buffer. Andy's ability to mend does help quite a bit. You don't hear anything at the door. With now a journal and a scroll of a couple of pieces of parchment.
I think it's going to be very hard to sleep, but I badly need rest.
I can
will-
start and then hand off to you.
Sure, we could divide and conquer as well, potentially. Take the scrolls or the journal. And, Are you okay? You took quite a licking and then we just ran off.
I'm fine. I know how to conserve my energy for the moments when it's needed, so...
And for what it's worth, what I said to you out there, that I didn't trust you, well, that was just a gut feeling, and I think, well, don't always trust your gut, apparently. Thank you for going with me.
Of course. This is... Well... In a way, I guess this is what I was looking for when I came to Riversmeet. To see what others lived through. And now, I've lived through this with this town.
I had no idea what I was looking for, but it certainly wasn't this. It's so frustrating. Every piece of the puzzle we get, the picture becomes more obscured.
Was it even a puzzle at this point? I'm so confused. I was so against Castavan at first. Having met him, he seems like an eccentric, wealthy person. With secrets, right?
I don't know about that. When he mentioned the contents of the box that
Just sitting up. I'm still kind of looking deeply at the bones as I'm talking.
as we mentioned the contents of the other chest, he flinched.
Yeah.
He sounded upset.
I picked up on that too.
But what I mean is, how do we know anything that's going on or trust anything that's going on?
We don't, unfortunately.
Only time will tell.
Yeah. I don't think we should lie to Captain Fieri tomorrow. I think telling her only what she needs to know is good. But if more of these creatures are out there, someone else has to understand. They're in danger.
I would say, however, that as much as it would be good to give her some information, we should not tell her everything. I do not want her to also be targeted as we are now being targeted.
Now, keep that as only concerning to the overall safety of the town.
Exactly.
I don't even know if I can trust my lawkeepers anymore.
Why would you not trust them?
I just...
Finn, don't let suspicion creep into your mind. This is shocking, yes, but this should not rattle the foundation that you've dedicated your life to.
I've already breached their trust. And now, I mean, with that exit plan,
How?
well, forgive me for not sharing earlier. It didn't seem pertinent, and, well, we didn't have the last few days under our belt. Now I don't have any reason not to trust you. Andy knows already. Chauncey, the wonderful automaton, well, we don't know how he works exactly, and, well, I have reason to suspect my spellbook has something similar going on. A different form, albeit, but it seems to have thoughts and opinions of its own.
A book.
Well, a hunk of metal.
Yeah.
I, did a little asking around before we left the Adagog, and while the book does have certain, autonomous traits, it should not form opinions. It's definitely showcased, traits that raised suspicion when I merely asked. I'm afraid that if they knew, they would confiscate the book, or worse.
Where did you get the book? Did they give it to you?
They did.
Oh, so you were breaching their trust by not telling them that this book is got fancy pants brains.
Right.
Okay.
And it now seems that Sada's benefactor or protector or coercer had ties to, well, powerful magic that I've only personally seen displayed in the Order and the mages, if the law keepers and conservators. She vanished in a very similar way to how Andy and I got here.
Oh.
Aye.
I don't know if it's the law keepers, but I certainly, well, add it to the pile of information we're keeping to ourselves, I suppose.
At this point, Icon, you hear footsteps coming down the hallway. There's a
I'm like sitting by the door and I just kind of, yes?
and there Davern is with a tray.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Feel free to leave it up here tonight or bring it down, either way.
You are a cherishing delight in this world, Davern. Thank you.
Yeah, as I said, drinks are on me, and you can see on the tray there's both stew and mugs. I'll just, we'll settle up with the food in the morning.
Great. If Captain Fieri shows up tomorrow morning, please sit her at a table and we'll be right down.
I can do that.
Thank you. And I'll bring in the tray for everyone.
And Davern heads back downstairs.
Put the bowl in front of me. I do not devour every bite instantaneously as I normally would do, but I do still eat it. Okay. So I guess before we start reading these, then I have a question, and I know I'm so tired of feeling like all I do is ask all of you questions, and I know it must seem very disorienting, and I want you to know that it's not because I don't mean well or anything. I'm just confused because I don't know what these people do. So I don't really still understand what the Order is other than big and in control, and I don't really understand how any of you feel about them. It's very confusing. And so if
First and foremost, Dorothy, please don't ever stop asking questions.
Mm-mm.
It is very endearing, and I respect anyone who wants to learn more about the world. We need more of that, especially in the cities. Those that stayed, well, it seems many would rather not know and live their lives in blissful oblivion.
Yeah.
The overseer reminded me a lot of that. As for that question, that's a very loaded one, but I know you don't mean it as such.
I don't, I'm just confused.
It's a long history.
It's old, right?
Incredibly. Personally, to me and my family owe the Order our lives.
Okay.
And therefore, almost every action I take on this earth is dedicated to ensuring and enriching its survival.
Okay. I hope I didn't ask anything that is
No, we're not. Those who grew up in Melos Machina, or those who live under the Order, are not immediately a part of it. It's around, it's an organization, somewhat. It's an institution in other ways. Forgive me, Scott, if I'm misquoting.
No,
But,
you're doing well.
but it's... In the time since the walls of Melos Machina and other cities have opened up, it has evolved into so much more for everybody. People view it in different ways. People cherish it or worship it or disregard it to their own whims and feelings, and it is unique to everyone. So, while I cannot speak for Andy or for Finn or for Icon, those of us who have connection to the Order are all linked or touched to it in some way.
Yeah, I mean, everyone growing up within the walls, not just your family, basically owe their lives or their ancestors' lives to the Order.
For most that thrive in the cities, it's more than just an organization, it's a way of life. It's, everything has its place, and you do your part.
Yep.
And though my feelings are much more mixed than perhaps Aaron's, theoretically, it's a good system. It does seem to work. The cities, at least on the surface level, are thriving.
You worship it, though, you said?
Some
people?
do.
Some do.
But my family does not.
It depends. It's multifaceted.
Mm-hmm.
So you may worship it. You may be part of the Order.
Mm-hmm.
Or you may work for the Order, and it's much more administrative, civilian. I was a guard. Was my job. I never had, desires to join the Order or anything, but
That confirms a hypothesis I had.
it's obvious these days. I have nothing against the Order itself. My family would technically owe their lives to it, but we didn't feel the need to stay within the walls. It was constraining. No freedom, no beauty that the natural outside world could potentially provide. But never stop being curious.
Please.
Please.
I never want to put anyone on the spot or make them feel uncomfortable, and I also don't want to appear silly.
You are
It seems important.
such a quick learner and so bright, Duathi.
I try.
Did they not have the Order or anything like it where you were from? No overseer? Huh.
No,
Who was in charge then?
it wasn't a lot of us, so not really anybody.
Did you have a community or
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were a few of us and a few families, and it was more like the people who had the most experience were sort of in charge, But no, never anywhere as big as this. My home.
in the framework of the Order, they would say that is the place of those more experienced.
Oh.
I have trouble believing that what works in theory actually works in principle.
Well, what's interesting to me is now River's Meat has gotten big enough to catch the eye of the Order. And now they have an overseer.
For a decade.
For a decade.
Sounds like.
Sorry, forgive me, it just seems...
That's half my life.
Right.
Yes.
I forget.
I was still desperately trying to fulfill my place in the Order 10 years ago.
Right. So, now, 10 years after the Overseer's made his mark, I guess, all of this chaos starts erupting. We've got mysterious cases coming for the Overseer, a ship exploding before it gets to it. Well, not the ship exploding, a ship hitting the docks with creepy creatures on top. We have a warehouse exploding, and now an on-the-run doctor who seemed to have manufactured 3 more of these pseudo-mechanical, pseudo-living
But
creatures.
she seemed to need the collar to control them.
Or was it just to destroy them when she was done?
My
I don't
first instinct
know.
was control, but we
Me
knocked
too.
her around quite a bit. That didn't affect anything. She ran. The creatures kept fighting, and then the collars exploded. I don't know if it was control or just, as you say, a
I
self-destruct.
think it was a contingency plan.
Yeah.
No?
It,
But no.
Destroy them, and if we had failed, destroy us.
And there's the box, the box that was being smuggled in on the boat. I feel like it is just there's no way that none of those things, that they all have to be connected because they all were there happening at the same time. But also, I
Yes.
don't know what an explosion in a warehouse and a bunch of stuff being smuggled to
But
the
why?
overseer has to do with. These dogs has to do with making zombies.
We have a very loose thread connecting the pieces, but
Why does our curiosity in protecting a town of innocent citizens scare Soda enough to eliminate us from the...
It's because we knew too much already.
But what did we discover?
and I don't think it was Sada that was scared. I think it was
Someone scared Sada.
She kept apologizing to us.
That's
And I
because we're delightful.
Do. We are.
You're not wrong.
We have a
You
charm
most of
about
all.
us.
But you and Andy said that that device was power, just pure energy.
like nothing else I've seen.
Power is addictive and dangerous, no matter what form it is, whether it's political, religious, or arcane, I guess.
There's already so much power here, more than I've ever seen. I can't imagine something that would. And for all of you, if it was that much, you've seen so much more than I have of this kind of thing. And
I wish that were true. This is.
I guess what I mean is if it scares you, if it scares all of you, I don't like that.
Yeah.
A system that allows people to thrive, to live their lives. That brings people together. That is what brought the Order into its power today. But when things start falling out of line and community safety is no longer enough, when people are leaving for 50 years now,
Yeah.
and that grip starts to loosen, well, if the promise of safety doesn't work, then fear does.
Yeah. And that's why fear is dangerous. And why we need to be careful at what we say to anybody.
Precisely.
A whole town on edge is
Agreed.
a powder keg.
I don't think we stay here much longer. I don't know where to go, but it's too
I
many
mean-
people.
Shouldn't we go see the lore keepers?
My duty says yes. My mind says yes. My want to trust says yes. Part of me, I don't know.
I do sort of want to go see the lore keepers.
We could also go to Venture.
What is Venture?
It's a bigger town. They keep talking about it, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
near
uh,
where Andy's from.
It's
right.
where the Fairbanks came from.
Further along the shipping lane. Right.
I suppose they would know.
Give me a history check really quick.
Sure. That's a 18.
18. You do recall Venture. This has been a day and your mind is racing.
yes. Many other things top of mind right now.
But thinking back to it, you recall Venture being the first of the frontier towns.
Okay.
That's right.
When the walls opened, Venture was the nearest town to Melos Machina that was founded.
Right.
So it is by far the largest of them.
And probably one of the furthest away from here.
It is the closest frontier town to Melos
to
Machina,
Saros Mena. A long way back.
more in the center of the continent.
In relation to where I moved, would I know where that is?
No, you're actually. Give me a history check.
That's an 8.
When you left Melos Machina, there were no frontier towns.
Good to know.
My inkling is to find the source of origin. Whoever provided the power that we discovered got it onto the Fairbanks adventure.
Right. However, the lore keepers knew of this. They called it what? What did they call it?
Not much. They just said that there was a lead and we were to meet, well, turns out to be Aaron here. We didn't know what we were looking for.
No, the technology discovered is far beyond anything that I could extrapolate on.
Right, but they called it contraband, right?
Well,
Or was that
we called
you?
it contraband. We didn't know what it was, just
Okay.
that it was potentially illicit and potentially something the law keepers wanted brought in.
So they must have known about it somehow.
They could identify, potentially, what we have discovered. There's a possibility that whatever we have discovered is completely unknown to them.
Sure.
That's what...
So we're just gonna traipse around with a box of highly explosive material to venture.
I mean, they put it on the boat and it did not explode.
True.
If we can get our hands on a somewhat pricey pearl, I could at least learn a little bit more about it so that we know what we're carrying.
How pricey?
More than I have, personally.
Well, I have 10 gold, so...
That'll get us about maybe 10% of the way there. We need something nice.
Okay. Well, I can give it to you if you need it.
It's very kind, Dorothy.
That is-
We have to utilize every skill that we have. But
I mean,
to further your point, No, we proceed with the plan. We proceed with the direction. We have, for the moment, to consider, yes, our safety. I do not... This might sound completely absurd, but I do not want us pinned for whatever fire was started.
No.
My gut reaction and talking with Captain Fury is that they might initially suspect our implications with Dr. Sada, and we need to ensure our innocence. Because we are merely somebody who has a curiosity to desire and a desire to turn over stones that are out of place. Nothing wrong with that.
I certainly don't know how I ended up in any of this, so that makes perfect sense.
all I know
That's
is
very true.
we're very lucky you did.
I'm very happy that I met all of you. Don't get me wrong, you all seem pretty interesting.
Sorry
But,
to spoil your innocence.
Oh,
Let's-
how do you mean that word?
We don't know where to go unless we know where Dr. Sada was coming from, so allow us some time to pore over her notes, and that can possibly give us some insight on where to avoid going, or who we should watch out for.
Yeah, I mean, see what you can learn. I need to rest. I am spent.
Take your time. My mind is listless, and I have some thinking to do of my own, personally. So take a nap.
Are your injuries okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm just going to keep working on the bones. Are we all going to stay here in this room?
Normally I like to be alone at night,
Okay.
but tonight company seems nice.
I will hop off of my bed and pull my bedroll down onto the floor and put it on the floor and put all my bones next to me on the floor.
Floor bones.
My bones! I usually sleep more on the ground in that sort of bedrolly kind of thing anyway. Well, at the very least I'm used to it. I have a bed, but I sleep outside a lot, so...
Yeah, I'll take the bed, or not the bed, the floor too. I similarly am used to it.
I don't even know if I'll be able to sleep tonight. Depends on if there's any good reading in there, and if, well, I have a lot to write about, and, well, now you know.
Can you copy what's in the book?
I'm going to try, if I can load these pages up into the book. I can... The actual intended use for the book, as far as the lore keepers have explained it, is as a index of sorts. It can store vast amounts of information and pull it at will. So in the past I had fed it journals from my childhood, and, well, it did seem to pick up information about me.
That's so wild.
I have no idea how any of this works, and it's, well, very unpredictable when I can get a response, and if...
It responds to you.
Sometimes.
Okay. I'm trying to not be too weird about it because I like Chauncey because he's got a cute little button face.
Oh, it's weird.
But that's a book and it doesn't have a cute little button face.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Well,
Good night.
I'm going to just trance and work on my bones. Good night, everybody. I'm just going to very quietly continue to try and get the bones into about like this size.
Okay.
Lots of little ones about this
Absolutely.
size.
As you whittle away at the bones.
Do you want to take the journal or the scroll?
I would like the journal, please.
I'll, see if I can unroll these scrolls and decipher what's
Absolutely.
what's in them.
As you open up the scrolls, taking a look, there are 3 of them. One is a hand-drawn diagram. You can see the generic outline of a human form with then scribbles and writing as to attempting to displace appearance. And very clearly it seems like blueprints for a device. One of the 2 scrolls, you can see is a scroll of invisibility. However, its magic appears to have been expended.
Okay.
Now, looking at the scroll, you can see when you compare that to the blueprints in the device, it looks as though the magic was put into whatever device this was. The other scroll, you open up and it appears to be taking that idea of displacement and hiding oneself, and has gone from notes into pure theory on how to create a device on that. You can see on the back of this scroll, it is a scroll of blank.
Oh.
And it is still very powerful.
Oh, blink. You said blank, and I was like, what is that?
What homebrew malarkey do we have in store now?
Awesome. Sorry, just to be clear, Josh, are you asleep right now?
Oh,
Or
no, I'm...
You're studying? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Finn, it seems we need more paper.
Yeah, and components. I assume the spells, or...
One here
notes?
that I don't know entirely, though. I think it's within my grasp. I'll need to study for quite a while. I'm rather new to arcane learnings entirely, and especially without my mother's rhythm and instruction, it's hard for me to piece together, but
Well,
very well could be useful for either of us, or someone of our caliber.
I think with our heads together, we can make sense of it. And my book does help with that. Although,
Sure.
let's just say, It's a speedy process, but one of brute force. We need a lot of components for it to
Yes.
figure it out. Right. Besides, you still have some tricks that I'd like to learn as well.
Yes, once we're thoroughly stocked, we shall compare notes.
I think the pearl for an identify ritual comes first. We need to know what we're carrying if we're to take that weapon, or whatever it is.
Agreed.
Finn, as you were diving into the journal, opening it, it appears to be less of a diary and more of a sketchbook. And inside you can see similar sketches that you recall seeing on the wall of Sada's workshop.
Like the anatomy.
Exactly, but where the ones that were hanging were far detailed, these seem like quick sketches and rough draft, but there are notes attached to most of them. You can see an oversized wolf with a smaller wolf for comparison. You see a size category showing a standard humanoid, a standard wolf, and this creature. Though the drawing of this one seems to be stick figure at roughed out. You see a section on large spiders. And a collection also of more natural type creatures. This appears to be an anatomy book of lots of things that Dr. Sada had seen. The pouring into this takes lots of time.
Sure.
As you flip through it, in the far back of the page, you see a sketch of a spine of one of the metallic creatures. You remember seeing the large version of this on the wall, but this one is almost just as detailed. The copying of the journal takes you well into the evening.
I think once I kind of realized what's in here, flipping to the end for the most recent stuff, I think I'd only copy the most recent pages.
Okay. Give me an investigation check.
Sure.
Come on. Come on.
Born for this, man.
That's cocked, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Would have been good. Way better than that. Investigation, soft 10.
Soft 10.
Yeah. Guess they're always soft.
As you had...
But this 10 is particularly stingy.
We're not in Vegas, man. There's no hard 10s over here.
Squishmallow 10.
Going through the first many pages, you can see rough sketches, and there's clearly a lot of text to go through as well. As though it's mostly a sketchbook, there's also lots of writing. And you do find the occasional single page of full handwritten by the time you've gotten to the back. Deciding to focus on the copying down of the most recent pages, something in the back of your mind does stick as though it might be worth really pouring into this. Because though everything that you're seeing right now is mostly things that you've already seen, though not had the time to fully study, you wonder what else might still be in this book.
Right.
And as the night progresses farther and farther, as you are copying this down, as you are journaling, a small bit of ink appears at the bottom of the page. It swirls around, just creates the phrase, "Are you okay?"
I sigh and I fold the journal and I put it aside, and I take a long moment just staring at that. Same reaction I have every time. First, blinking and clearing my eyes, seeing if it stays when I reopen them. then checking my surroundings, making sure I'm actually awake and that this is real.
As more and more time passes, they're still there. They do slowly begin to fade, as if oil sinking beneath water.
I turn to the back of the book for my personal journal. And rather than the typical conversation I've tried to have and the typical entries I write for my own recollection, I write this one like a letter. Hi, pal. It's very good to see you again. I'm writing this kind of monologue in my head. I have missed you over the last few days, and I can't lie, I have a sense of guilt. I haven't spent nearly as much time trying to talk to you lately. I thought you were my only friend in the world, and, well, turns out I think I met 4 more. I think you'd like them. I hope you'll like them. But boy, pal, I am confused and lost. I really need your help. And just put the book in my lap.
The words that you've written, little bits of ink begin to trace from them and move to the bottom of the page to form, I'm still here. Sounds like they're here too.
Yeah.
I hope they like me too.
I think they will. I say that out loud to myself. Boy, I could use a clear answer right now. Again, out loud to the room. See if it responds.
The ink fades away. Can I get a wisdom saving throw from you, please?
That's not a good one. Um, 8.
As you stare, looking at Pal. No more ink raises up, no more words. The night slowly progresses.
Well, that tracks. Feeling just the exhaustion and emotion creep through, as much as I want to proceed, I reluctantly call it a night. Fold the book, put the journal right on top, place it beside me and lean back against the wall, close my eyes.
And as you rest, and as the party, those needing rest take it, those needing not as much taking their time, that is where we are going to end tonight's episode, ladies and gentlemen.
Maybe the book is like Clippy.
Did you mean?
Did you mean to format the
Clippy,
journal?
no!
Hey, I noticed you wrote "what the fuck" over and over and over.
Oh, man. Great job tonight, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be off next week. So sit on that for 2 weeks. We hope that you have a fantastic evening. We hope that your next 2 weeks are well. And we'll be back again the next morning to see what happens next in Riversmeet. Bye, everyone.